Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Fulbright Awards webinar. I'm very happy to have you all here today and excited to share some more information with you about the Fulbright Awards program and also to answer any questions that you might have. If you could please hold your questions until the end of my presentation, that would be most helpful. But of course, if you have any technical issues or if you can't hear me, or if you can't see the presentation, please send a message through to the Q&A feature on the webinar. Okay, so we'll get started. Just 1 second. Okay, so here's the agenda for the webinar today. I'm going to just talk you through a bit about what are the Fulbright Awards, what awards we have on offer, the eligibility criteria, a bit about the application process and the application and selection timeline. I'll cover how to stay informed about Fulbright Awards, and then we'll head into the question and answer portion. So what are the Fulbright Awards? The Fulbright program was started over 70 years ago in the US by Senator William Fulbright. It was set up in the aftermath of World War II in Senator Fulbright's hopes of creating more compassion and mutual understanding around the world. So we exist today very much in that same vein. We are a cultural exchange program, and at the heart of our program are those cultural ties. So we are an academic exchange program, but a lot of the Fulbright Award is about that cultural exchange of the participants. So this is an overview of the Fulbright Awards program in the UK. We have a postgraduate and a scholar awards program. The postgraduate awards are open to master's degrees, PhDs, non-degree study in the US at the master's level, and visiting research at the PhD level. So that is, if you are doing a PhD in the UK, you can go to the US to do a period of research at a US institution and return to the UK to finish your PhD. That's all in the postgraduate program. For the Scholar Award program, this is for postdoctoral research and early career after you've finished your PhD. We give approximately 40 to 50 UK grants per year between the two postgraduate and scholar programs. We're open to any discipline, and you can choose to go to any accredited US university or research institution. So you choose your program, you choose the school, and you apply separately to the US university, and then submit your application to the Fulbright program to provide funding. All programs must be full-time and in-person. So if these US programs perhaps have online components or are part-time, they are not eligible for Fulbright. Some benefits of the Fulbright Award. In the postgraduate program, our core funding is up to $45,000 towards your tuition fees and your living costs while you're in the US. So we recognize that the $45,000, it's a significant contribution, but in a lot of cases, you will have an outstanding balance. It won't cover your full US education. A lot of degrees in the US are 2 years. So there is a balance of funds there. So we are very excited to announce for the first time we are offering the Fulbright Opportunity Fund. Skip behind. So the Fulbright Opportunity Fund is part of our work in widening access to the Fulbright program. So given that we recognize US education is very expensive and may be a barrier for some students to not apply to Fulbright because of the funding gap that they would have to cover, we've introduced the Opportunity Fund. So this becomes available for students who are selected for the Fulbright Award, who have exhausted all other avenues to find funding, including university funding and other external funding scholarships. And you can apply at that point to access the Opportunity Fund, which would help you fund the rest of your education in the US. So we hope that this is a welcome opportunity for people to be able to apply to the Fulbright program. Back to the benefits. If there are any people interested in the Scholar Award program today, that's offering up to $5,000 per month for up to 9 months in the US. For both the Scholar and Postgraduate programs, we have a variety of partner awards, which I'll cover in a few minutes. And those funding packages vary from award to award. So it's very important that you look at the specific award you're applying to understand the funding package. We also offer pre-departure support, J1 visa sponsorship, and sickness and accident benefit coverage. So I know health insurance and health coverage is a big question for people going to the US as an international student. So this sickness and accident benefit coverage is a very valuable benefit of being on the Fulbright program. And finally, you're entered into this membership of the global Fulbright community. The Fulbright program is a global program. It exists in 160 countries around the world. So by being a Fulbrighter, you have access to that vast network. These are the postgraduate awards that we have on offer this year. We have the All Disciplines Award, which covers any discipline at any US university, and then we have a variety of subject-specific and university-specific awards, which I will go into in more detail. The subject-specific awards that we have on offer cover a wide range of subjects, so journalism, the BAFTA, film scholarship, data analytics from Elsevier. Global Wales sponsors a PhD and a master's award for those who have a connection to Wales. We have a medical studies, risk analysis sponsored by Lloyd's of London, and a social entrepreneurship award. We have university-specific awards as well. These are US university partners who have partnered with us to host a UK student, a Fulbright student, and provide a funding package. So to go through them, we have the British Friends of Harvard Business School Award to pursue an MBA at Harvard, the University of South Florida PhD Award, the fully funded 4-year PhD and a variety of their PhD areas. The New School Postgraduate Award is a 2-year fully funded master's program in any of their master's programs, any of their 1 or 2-year master's programs. NYU Wagner Executive Masters of Public Administration is for mid-career professionals. You'll spend 1 semester in New York and 1 semester at UCL in London. Hubert Humphrey School at the University of Minnesota is a Public Policy Affairs and Planning Award, which is a master's degree in any of their master's programs. Indiana University hosts an LLM in any of their LLM programs, and Brown University PhD Award is for any PhD at Brown, a fully funded 4-year PhD. This is the list of Scholar Awards. It works in the same way. We have an all-discipline Scholar Award, which is open to any subject area at any US institution. And then we have a variety of subject-specific and university-specific. The subject-specific awards are listed here. British Heart Foundation, Cancer Research UK, we have cybersecurity, again, risk analysis, Metropolitan Police, Northern Ireland Public Sector, Royal College of Surgeons, Royal Society of Edinburgh is any research that contributes to Scotland. They're very interested in those projects. Smithsonian Institution, the Urology Foundation, and Wales Public Sector Awards. University-specific awards include Elon University, which is a teaching post and alongside a research project, and the University of South Florida Postdoc Award. So some basic eligibility criteria. You must be a UK citizen or have the right to UK citizenship to come through the UK Fulbright program. However, we do offer Fulbright scholarships from the UK to non-UK citizens. They can be eligible, and this is assessed on a case-by-case basis. So you would just need to get in contact with us directly, and we can talk about your case. You must not hold any US citizenship or residency, and you're ineligible for the program, unfortunately, if you do. Postgraduates must hold a TU1 traditionally to be eligible, but now we accept TU2s. This is part of our widening participation work. We recognize there's excellent students who have achieved a TU2, and we want to see your applications. So there is an extra form that you would have to fill out, but please, we encourage you to apply. Scholars, you must hold a PhD or equivalent professional experience to be on the scholar program. Postgraduates must obtain admission to a US university at the time of taking up your award, but not at the time of admission. You can apply to Fulbright without admission from a US university. And scholars, you must secure affiliation with a US university or research institution and include that in your application. The application is an online application. It's a global application, so Fulbright all around the world uses the same application. So some of the application instructions may look a little different from what we expect in the UK. And we have provided detailed UK-specific application instructions, which cover what we want to see in the UK. In addition to the online global application, we have a specific UK online form, which is a separate platform, which we want to ask you some additional questions that are not on the global application. So you have to fill out both to complete to submit a complete application. 3 letters of recommendation are required. Postgraduates, in addition, you need to provide a personal statement and a study objective. The personal statement and the study objective are different documents. So the personal statement, we want to hear about you and what motivates you and maybe what your story is to this point and what motivates you to do what you're proposing to do in the US. The study objective statement is more about your research and what you hope to gain to it and how you see that contributing to your field or your career. We want you to list the universities you're applying to. We do want to hear about that. That is a very important part of an application, to see that you've put in the time to research where you're going and you've thought about that this is the right place for you. Postgraduate applications, as I said, can be made without a firm offer of admission, and we do not require the GRE. I'm happy to answer any questions about the GRE if anyone doesn't know what the GRE is. For scholars, a detailed project outline is required. So this is a more in-depth look at your research and the outcomes that you're hoping to achieve and how you will achieve that. And scholars, as I said, must show an affiliation letter that you've made contact with the US research institution and they're happy to support your research and collaborate with you. The timeline. Please just hold your questions till the end of my presentation. So the timeline, this operates on the same timeline every year. So if you are thinking of applying in the future, just keep this timeline in mind for the year prior to when you want to start in the US. So for the academic year 2020-2021, which starts September 2020, August or September 2020, our application deadline is the 6th of November 2019. So that's just under a month from now. After the application deadline of November 6th and before interviews in February, we go through a lengthy selection process. So each application that we receive is reviewed by 3 academic experts in that subject area. And we take all the feedback from those academic experts and we draw up a short list of the strongest applications for interviews. So we have face-to-face interviews in February. This year, they're from February 3rd to the 14th. We go to London, Edinburgh, Cardiff, and Belfast. and we will accommodate video interviews if necessary, but you would need to contact us before. By the end of February, you will be notified if you were selected to receive an award or not. After selection, we have 2 pre-departure support events. In March, we bring everyone to London for the finalist workshop where you get to know your cohorts and we tell you about the next steps in the process. In June and July, there's a 2 to 3 day pre-departure orientation in London. And then you can leave anytime for your Fulbright exchange between July and April of that academic year. Some tips for making a successful application. We're looking for demonstrated academic achievement, but almost more importantly, we're looking for a clearly articulated project and research statement and vision for the research that you're going to do. One of our Fulbrighters this year summed it up perfectly in a quote, which I like to share, and he said, a Fulbright Award isn't congratulations, here's what you've done. It's congratulations, now what are you going to do? And I think that demonstrates and sums up what we're looking for in the application and those statements from you. So indicate a clear reason for selecting the universities, the project, and the discipline. This shows us your motivations. It shows us that you put in the time to think about this is really a good step for you and that you're going to get a lot out of it. And a desire to give back to the UK and Fulbright upon returning home. That's a part of that cultural exchange. We'd like to see that you're active inside and outside of the classroom and that you demonstrate civil and public engagement. These are core values of our program. If you possess a curiosity for the US and American culture and a desire to strengthen the ties between the US and the UK, and showing a desire to be a part of that network of Fulbright scholars, which is currently over 370,000 people globally. How to stay informed? You can go to our website. This is our main repository for all information. We're on social media, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Follow us to see what our Fulbrighters are up to, what the Fulbright community is all about. Sign up for our awards bulletin to get updates. Email us at programs@fulbright.org.uk. We check that daily, so you will get a response fairly quickly. And our advisory service for information on general US study is advising@fulbright.org.uk. So now I'm ready to take questions. I'll just switch over to the question and answer window. So please feel free to type in your questions as they come up. Well, we have a question. If you've already received an offer from a university that I want to go to, should I still list the other universities that I have applied to? If you're considering any other universities, you should list all the universities you're interested in and still considering. But if you're not considering those universities anymore that you've applied to, you don't need to put them in the application. So only the ones that you're continuing to consider going to. We have a, should we include citations in our study objective statement? Which kind of referencing system should we use? We don't have a preference of referencing system. If you're using direct quotes, definitely put a reference in there. But that's not really the aim of the study objectives. You don't have to put any quotes. If you do have quotes that strengthen your statement, definitely put them in and reference them, but we don't have a preference on the referencing system. When would one find out whether they are being offered an interview in February? That's a great question. We let everyone know by the end of January. So we will give everyone, for those in the first week of February, we'll let you know 1 to 2 weeks in advance. So we aim to give everyone 1 to 2 weeks notice, but everyone will be notified by the end of January whether either they got an interview or not. Here's a good question. What do you mean by civil and public engagements? So civil and public engagement is a sense of wider responsibility to your community, to your to society, to your field of study. So we want to see that you're active in whatever areas are important to you. So in the community in general, in your university, or any wider arenas. Will we need GRE scores ready for 6 November deadline? We do not require the GRE for the Fulbright Award. US universities do require the GRE, so you'll want to have that ready for your US university applications, but we do not require that for the Fulbright Award. For the Scholar Award, can a US professor you hope to work with be your referee? I would recommend, if you are getting a letter of support and affiliation from the US professor, that you do not use them as your referee also, because it can look duplicative, and you want to use the references as an opportunity to bring a different perspective to your application. And if you're using the same person twice, you're missing out on that opportunity. My postgrad course starts May 28th in the US. Would that still be eligible? As you mentioned, we are meant to start in July. May 28th is still considered the current academic year, so that is probably too early. But if that, it depends on the university, so you may want to write into us with the specific course and the specific dates, and we'd have to take a look at that. But usually that is considered too early. And I don't know if you'd have time to get a visa in time to leave in May, unfortunately. But please do write in with your specific details to the program's account. If we are accepted for a Fulbright Award but are unsuccessful in our university applications, can we carry our award a year forward? The answer is no. Unfortunately, you will have to reapply for the Fulbright Award. So Fulbright Awards cannot be deferred year on year. Okay, this is a question we get quite a bit. The application requests no mention of universities in the study personal statements. Where should I mention to which institutions I have intention of enrolling? Some people are also confused that the application requests no mention of universities, but we, in our UK specific instructions, do ask for you to mention the US universities. And the answer is yes, mention the US universities, and the study or personal statement is a great place to do that. So if you, in your study objective, want to talk about why you chose that university, that would be a great place of doing it. Again, we have another question about departing earlier than July. It's usually not possible, but as I said, if you have any questions like that, please write into the program's account with your specific case and we can take a look at it. But normally it's not going to be possible, but please do contact us separately. How long should the research statement for a scholar project be? I'm going to answer this for both the postgraduate and the scholar program. So the research statement and the study objective for the postgraduates should be about no longer than 2 pages, about 2 pages. It can be longer than 2 pages, but I would say 2 pages is a good amount, a good length. And for scholars, I would probably double that, so 2 to 4 pages. Shouldn't be overly long because keep in mind, academic experts are reading a lot of these, and it should be a concise overview of your research, although very detailed. If you have been in the UK for many years and have indefinite leave to remain status but are not UK citizen, can you still apply for scholar program? So this is about non-UK citizens applying, and one of our criteria for determining if you can apply as a non-UK citizen is a right to return to the UK. This is part of the exchange element of this program, and we are looking to take people through this program who want to come back and contribute to the UK. So indefinite leave to remain status would qualify as a right and a reason to come back to the UK. So yes, that would be eligible. What about a medical program? Not for residency, but for medical research. So medical studies are allowed on the Fulbright program, so researching medical fields, but you are not allowed clinical contact on the Fulbright program. So any medical program that requires contact with patients or clinical research of any kind is not allowed on the Fulbright. I've got a question. Can a university student apply, for example, to pursue a master's straight after graduation? I think this is specifically for the Sir Cyril Taylor Award for social entrepreneurship, but I'm going to answer that in two ways. So students who are still in university can apply before you graduate, but you need to have graduated and proven your TU2 at least by the time you would take up a Fulbright Award. So you can apply in your final year of university. For the Sir Cyril Taylor Award, the sponsor prefers that students come to this award having some experience outside of university. So if you're considering this award, it might be good for you to keep in mind for a couple years after you graduate. So get some good experience in the social entrepreneurship world and apply in the future. So we have a question about ambassadorial experience and what this means. So we get this question a lot, and the ambassador term and ambassadorial role term, it's really referring to that ability to relate to somebody from a different culture or a different walk of life than you, somebody who's open to sharing about their own culture and learning about the culture that they're going into. So you want to be a good representative of the Fulbright program, where you come from, your experience, anything about your background and experience that you would be representing. So this is what the ambassadorial quality means. Another question is, does the research project have to have scientific credibility, or is it more important to show how we can contribute to the UK? And I would say that both are important elements and not one more important than the other. So we are looking at projects that have scientific credibility, and the academics who are assessing the applications will also look for this. But it's also important to show how it would contribute in a wider sense, maybe to the UK or just in a more wider sense. So you can do projects that are not related just to the UK. So that's not a limiting factor. But it's that sense of wider impact. Are you penalized in any way for having applied before? And the answer to that is no. So we don't take into account past applications when you're reapplying, and you're welcome to reapply as many times as you want to. is if the program is 2 years, then is funding guaranteed for both years? The answer is no. So if you are on a 2-year program in the US and you've received an award for $45,000 from the Fulbright program, that means the $45,000 goes towards both of those years. So there will likely be a gap in funding. So you would have to look for other sources of funding. And like I said, the Opportunity Fund is available this year for selected students who are in that situation who cannot find any further funding. They can apply for the Opportunity Fund. And having said that, there are some awards that cover 2 years of the program. For example, the New School is a 2-year funded award. I have a few questions about references. Can they be from colleagues? Do they all have to be academic? And do we have any guidelines for references? So our general advice is to find 3 people who know you well and who can give 3 maybe differing perspectives on your work or your character, your person. So they don't all have to be academics. We would expect academic references if you are in the university environment currently. However, if you have been out of academic environments for some time and you're coming back to study, then we do not require academic references. We're looking for genuine references from people who know you. So if you were in an academic setting maybe a decade ago, that's not going to be a relevant reference. And can you have references from colleagues? This is a tricky one, but I think it would be up to your judgment whether that person could give a balanced reference about you. You have to be careful about maybe it being a friend to give a reference, so maybe it would be preferably be a person that had some either a peer collaboration or a superior who could give an assessment of your performance or your work. If we're applying for a research placement as a PhD student, is there more flexibility on start dates? Yes, there is. So for a lot of the degree programs in the US, you're going to be starting on the degree and the academic schedule. So a lot of the start dates are in August or September when the university semester starts. But if you're going as a researcher or on a different sort of schedule, then you can set your own dates. So this is just a process of you negotiating with the university and agreeing a start date and an end date that works for both of you, and then getting that confirmed in writing from the university that that's acceptable for them, and then that is completely fine with Fulbright. What is the format of interviews? I can't share the questions, but I can tell you about the format of the interviews. So you will be interviewed by a panel of non-experts in your field, 3 non-experts. When I say non-experts, I just mean we don't tailor the interview panelists to the people in the room. So they could know about your field of study and be able to ask you some follow-up questions about that, but it's not guaranteed. You want to present your work to this panel as a group from the public who don't know the ins and outs of your research. So the interview format consists of a presentation by the candidate at the beginning of the interview that's approximately 3 minutes long. We give you a list of things to cover in that initial presentation. we're looking for you to tell us where you want to go, why you're going there, an overview of your research, and why that is important to you, and a bit about what's your journey been like to that point, to get you to this point of wanting to go to the US. And then the rest of the interview is questions and answers from the panel. They cover a range of subjects from your civil and public engagement to your involvement outside the classroom to your motivations, and maybe some follow-up questions about your project. Also, some about what you're hoping to do in the US. So really, how do you plan to engage with American culture? Another one about references, is there a specific format that referees should follow for their reference, or can it be free text? So the references are submitted online via the online application. So you would put in the email address and contact information of your referee, and they would get an email with the form that they need to fill out. So that consists of some questions, some kind of a matrix of different qualities, and they ask you to rate, they're asked to rate you on those qualities. And then there is a written portion. So they would submit a written letter along with that assessment. The interview dates, a question, are they flexible in any way? And unfortunately, they're not flexible, they're fixed. We only interview on the 3rd to the 14th. So if you are interested in doing this program, you should plan to be available on those dates. Okay, so can we apply to more than one award? And the answer is no, you can only choose one to apply to. Specifically, I get this question a lot if they are interested in a partner award and the general award. So you should always apply in the partner award category. The general award is the most competitive by nature because it's open to everybody. So there's more applications in that pool. We do give approximately 10 scholarships in that award. However, it is the most competitive. So you should always apply in the partner award category that fits you the best. You will always be considered in the general award category as well. So for example, if you apply for Alistair Cook and you're in the top 3 for the Alistair Cook Award, we can only give one, but we may want to consider you for the All Disciplines Award because you're a very strong candidate. So you don't have to worry about applying in the general category as well as a partner category. You will automatically be considered for that. So in summary, apply for the partner awards that you are a fit for, and if you're not a fit for a partner award, don't worry, apply in the all disciplines category, but you can only apply in one category. What if you're a British citizen living out of the UK? You're eligible to apply as a UK citizen no matter where you're living, so that would not be a problem. A question about the J1 visa. This is a very good question. Is there an enforced 2-year return rule, or is this just strongly encouraged in order to be successful? Actually, it is enforced, and it's enforced by the US government. So the rule is that after you hold a Fulbright J1 visa, you need to return to your home country for 2 years, a cumulative total of 2 years after your Fulbright award, if you want to return to the US. So you will not be issued a visa in the US to live or work for 2 years after your J1 visa. And they do enforce that rule. So I have a question about, would the amount awarded be less if you are on a specific program? So the way the awarding amounts go is that we offer up to $45,000 based on financial need. So if your one-year master's program cost you more than $45,000, we would offer you the full total of $45,000. However, if you were going for a period of research, perhaps visiting research, and you did not need the full $45,000, we wouldn't award you the full $45,000. I hope that makes sense. So we do want to fund people as much as we can up to that $45,000 cap. And we do have this opportunity fund to help people even more this year. Can you apply for other scholarships concurrently with the Fulbright Award to cover funding gaps? And yes, absolutely. We expect people to collect funding from various sources. So the only stipulation would be that we can't double fund somebody. So you do have to provide evidence of your financial need. So the tuition costs, tuition fees, calculate living costs, and that would be the amount of money that is your financial need. The Fulbright Award would be applied to that financial need, and then any other awards that you collect, any other scholarships or funding that you collect would just be applied to that financial need. If you get two awards that fund the same amount, basically, or overfund you, then something would have to be reduced. But our goal is not to reduce the funding, it's to help you fund your time. Okay, so our applicants who are doing a second master's at a disadvantage, does Fulbright prefer students doing their first master's from the US? No, you wouldn't. We don't have any preference on the number, if it's your first master's or a subsequent master's. What we do care about is your justification for getting a further degree. So it is important that you can articulate to us and justify why you would need investment from us for a further degree. Like what are your goals and how is this going to help you get there? And why, what are you missing from that first degree that you need from the second degree? So that's the only caution I would have there, but there's definitely no disadvantage and we don't have a preference on that. We understand everyone's situation is different. You just need to be able to communicate that to us. So I have a question about collaboration in the US with scientists at a university, or do you need to be based on the university full time? The answer is yes, you need to be based at the university full time. You have to have a host and an affiliation with one university and be there full time. So you can set up where you have several collaborations going on, but you have to have one host. And you may be able to, scholars can move from one host to another, but you have to have one host at any one time. Postgraduates, you can only have one affiliation, so one university is your affiliation the entire time. Can you submit more than 3 letters of recommendation? No, that's not recommended. We would only look at 3 and we only need 3. Is there a minimum or maximum term for research projects? This is, there is a set time limit, so you can do a minimum of 3 months or a maximum of 12 months on your Fulbright scholarship for research projects. For degree programs, it's different. You you're on the Fulbright for up to 12 months, and then you can transfer your visa or extend your visa to finish your program. How many awards will be given for the BAFTA Film Award? We have one this year. We have a question about work placement after your Fulbright, after the visa. And the answer is yes, you are eligible for the academic training, it's called, program as a postgraduate student. So scholars are not eligible for that, and visiting student researchers are not eligible for that. But master's degrees, you are eligible for that academic training, and there is a period of time, 18 months for some fields, after that you can stay in the US after your Fulbright, but you have to apply for it and be approved. So you're not guaranteed it, but you are eligible to apply for it. I'm getting a lot of questions about the ratio of applicants to awards and the success rate. This is hard for us to determine, and we don't actually publish those figures. It depends year to year, and it depends on the different award categories, so much so that we can't really give out those figures in a reasonable way. So they are competitive awards. However, we give 50 a year, so it's definitely well worth your time putting in an application. The competition is there to keep in mind that you should put a lot of effort into this application and put the best application together that you can. But definitely encourage everyone that's interested to apply. Another question about the BAFTA scholarship. It says it offers up to 60,000. Is this the case, or do all scholarships award up to 45,000? So I mentioned earlier in the presentation that our core awards are up to 45,000. However, some of our partner awards offer different levels of funding packages, so it's important to look at our website to determine what the funding package is for your award that you're interested in. So it is true that the BAFTA Film Scholarship offers up to 60,000. Also, Elsevier offers up to 60,000. So that's important to keep in mind, to look at the specific award that you're interested in. Do we have more information for US candidates applying to Fulbright? So we have a whole separate awards program for Americans, for US candidates applying to Fulbright. And this is not the best place to get that information, but please have a look on our website, fulbright.org.uk, and there's a whole section of the website under going to the UK for information about the Fulbright Award program for Americans coming to the UK. There's also many resources for US candidates who are applying to Fulbright in other places around the world. Just Google Fulbright, Fulbright program US, and those resources will come up for you. I have a question about, can you change your application if you've already submitted it? Normally, no. Once you've submitted it, it comes to us, but you can email into programs@fulbright.org.uk, and we can see if we can unsubmit it for you, so you can make that change and resubmit it, since we do have about a month left before the applications close. So please write to us at programs.fulbright.org.uk. How many awards will be given for the New School Award? Just one. It's offered every other year because it's a 2-year funded award. So this year it is on offer. Next year it won't be on offer. So just one award every other year. So we have a question about the TU1 and TU2 criteria. For a medical degree in the UK, you're not awarded a TU1 or a TU2. So we do say it's a TU1 or TU2 or the equivalent. So you would just need to provide your degree, and we will take a look at that and determine. I can't say, what specifically for a medical degree we would accept, but please do, if you want to send that to us in advance, we can take a look at it for you. Okay, so a question about application fees for postgraduate courses. So this is a good thing to bring up. There are application fees for postgraduate applications in the US, so it is very important to kind of do your research and narrow down the schools that you want to apply to, so you're not paying so many application fees. We recommend 3 to 4 institutions that you finalize on and actually submit applications to. So it's important to do that research ahead of time. And unfortunately, no, we don't have the ability to give support for application fees for US university applications. Can scholars bring their families? Yes, any Fulbrighter can bring their family, and they would be sponsored on a dependent visa attached to your Fulbright visa. And we help you through that process. Do we review applications on a rolling basis or once the application period has closed? We only review them once the application period has closed. So November 6th, November 7th, we will start reviewing applications, and not before that. I have a question about dependents, having 4 dependents and the living costs. So that would be up to each person to determine the living costs and the needs of their dependents. But we have a way of calculating how much you need to prove for your visa for you and each of your dependents. So we have, it's called a monthly maintenance rate. It's broken down by each location in the US. That would be the amount that you need to prove per month in order to get your visa. You have to prove this funding upfront to get your visa. And then for each dependent, it's a percentage of that monthly maintenance rate. And that's how it's calculated. How do we provide evidence of our grade if we're yet to graduate? Usually universities will provide you with a predictive grade, and that is fine to provide in your application. So you would have to provide your final transcript at the time that you graduate if you were to get an award, but for the application, a predicted grade is fine. I have a question about needing to provide a letter from your employer. I think this is in regards to showing that they support you in taking the time off. If they won't be your employer by the time you would take up the Fulbright Award, they do not need to provide a letter. And this only is really applicable if you're doing a sabbatical leave. If you have other specific questions about that I didn't answer, please write into the programs at fulbright.org.uk account. A question about visiting scholar awards from the UK to the US and whether they require a letter of support from the home institution. Normally, no, we don't require a letter of support from the home institution, but if there would be any question as to whether you would have a place when you get back, it's always helpful to include that in your application. But it's not required because you don't have to return to your same home institution after your Fulbright. A question about the J1 visa, home residency, return home requirement, and a 2-year program. So if you're on a program in the US that's 2 years or 3 years, or perhaps a PhD that's 4 or 5 years, your Fulbright Award will be issued for the duration of that degree program. So there's a process where you would extend your visa. So there's nothing to worry about there. You would only have to return home after you've completely finished your Fulbright and any academic training that you applied for and was accepted on. Okay, so the question about contacting alumni, if you wanted to speak to them about the awards. So we have our alumni online under About Us section on our website under Meet Our Fulbrighters, and you can search through who are the alumni on your award. Unfortunately, we can't directly connect you with them, but you can always find them online, and they're usually willing to help and answer some questions for people. Can research scholarships be applied for if postdocs are between posts or not currently employed at the UK university? So yes, you can apply if you're not currently employed at a UK university, or if you're between posts. You just need to set up that research affiliation in the US and you can apply. While you're in America, would you be allowed to work and take on internships? The answer is yes on some programs. So if you're a student on a master's degree or a PhD, you could do up to 20 hours a week on your work study allowance, but you can only do certain types of jobs. So you can't take jobs that are not related to your field of study, and they must be on campus. And again, you have to go through a process of applying for them through the Fulbright program in the US. But the main purpose of your time in the US is to study, not to work. So I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much to everybody for participating and for being here. I hope that I was able to answer your questions. And please do reach out to us if you have any more questions that weren't able to be answered. Programs at fulbright.org.uk is always there. So thank you very much and good night.